Thanks for tuning in to this week's SoCal Multifamily Sales Pulse. The SoCal Multifamily Sales Pulse is a weekly blog post that reviews the past week's multifamily sales, stats, rents, absorption rate, and sale metrics for all 5 Southern California counties plus Long Beach. Make sure you're on my email list so you never miss the report. This week in What's Happening in the Market. The City of Santa Ana has officially passed its own independent rent control law that became effective November 19, 2021. Despite California's pre-existing rent control measures, which cap rent increases statewide at 5% plus CPI annually, some metro areas enact more restrictive local ordinances and additional protections than the state. Recently, Santa Ana became the newest city in California to adopt its own rent control policies and the first in Orange County to do so. The City Council voted 4-3 to approve measures intended to benefit the majority renter community of Santa Ana, including capping rents at 3% annually or 80% of inflation, whichever is less, for buildings built before 1995. Enacting just cause evictions, which limit the circumstances in which a landlord may evict a tenant who has lived in the property for at least 30 days, allocating pandemic relief money towards creating an eviction defense fund, and hiring a consultant until the city creates a new rent control board and a rent registry for apartments, and directing city staff to study how the intended measures will be implemented. As I stated previously in one of my Sales Pulse videos, if you own an apartment building in Santa Ana, you need to be aware of this change, and even if you don't own apartments in Santa Ana, you still should be concerned about this new law, because there may eventually be a new law adopted in the city that you do own an apartment building. Okay, let's get started with Orange County. Orange County had 11 closed sales last week, and that's the same number of closed sales as the week before Thanksgiving, so it looks like Orange County multifamily sales activity isn't slowing down even for the holidays. The closed sales average days on market was elevated at 62 days. This stat is typically around 30 days plus or minus. There were 9 of the 11 closed sales last week that were transactions that sold at or above asking price. Even though most transactions sold over asking price, there was just one all-cash transaction last week. The monthly absorption rate moved up from 2.12 months from the 1.85 months in the previous month. The Orange County sale of the week was a fourplex on Glen Oaks Avenue in Anaheim. That property was originally listed for $1,425,000 and sold for $1,380,000 in 57 days. The major cross streets are Euclid and La Palma Avenue. The building was built in 1960, and the property had a new roof and was in the process of being painted. The unit mix was 1 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and 3 2-bedroom, 1-bath units. Each unit had its own laundry hookups and 1 single-car enclosed garage. The property sold at $336 per square foot. The average price per square foot for Anaheim is $360. The rents were on the low side. The property sold at 19.1 times gross on existing rents. All right, looking at the Orange County listing inventory, Orange County had 9 new listings last week, and this is the same number of new listings as the prior week. The total number of active listings moved up slightly from 118 total listings in the prior week to 120 total listings last week. The months of inventory remained at 3 months. And looking at uh, the monthly charts, the number of active listings, the overall trend has been moving downward for the last 4 months. And the number of monthly sales fell to 56 total sales, which matches the low point for this year that occurred in February. Okay, let's look at Long Beach. Long Beach had 6 closed sales last week, and this is up from 3 closed sales in the prior week. The closed sales average days on market was near the top of the average range at 43 days, and just one of the 6 closed sales last week were transactions that sold at or above asking price. And there were 2 all-cash transactions last week. The Long Beach monthly absorption rate went from 2.15 months previously to 2.36 months currently. The Long Beach sale of the week was a fourplex on Bermuda Street, and the property was initially listed at $1,399,000 and sold for $1,350,000 in 79 days. This property was built in 1908. It's located just a half a mile from the beach. The major cross streets are 4th Street and Cherry Avenue. The units consisted of a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, craftsman-style house in front and 3 1-bedroom, 1-bath units behind. The rents were low. There was approximately 50% upside in the existing rents. The property sold at $498 per square foot and $337,500 per unit. The total building square foot or square footage was 2,708 square feet. The Long Beach price per square foot is $527. Okay, looking at the Long Beach listing inventory, Long Beach had 6 new listings last week, and the total number of active listings dropped down to just 71 total active listings. The months of inventory increased from 3 months previously to 4 months currently. And looking at the monthly charts for activity, the days to sell average spiked to 56 days last month. And looking at the number of active listings, we can see that the total number of listings has been dropping steadily for the last 4 months. And the total number of monthly sales also declined to just 30 sales last month. Okay, let's look at Los Angeles County now. Los Angeles County had 114 closed sales last week. That is a good, strong week of closed sales for Los Angeles County. There were 51 of the closed sales that were transactions that sold at or above the asking price. The closed sales average days on market was elevated slightly at 49 days, and the Los Angeles County monthly absorption rate was down slightly from 3.66 months previously to 3.39 months currently. The Los Angeles County sale of the week was a 6-unit building on 5th Street in Downey. And this property was initially listed at $1,950,000 and sold for $2.1 million in just 7 days. The property was built in 1981. The major cross streets are Paramount Boulevard and Firestone Boulevard. All the units were 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath with square footage of approximately 1,067 square foot each. All the units have fireplaces, central air conditioning, built-in stoves, dishwashers, private laundry hookups, and 2 private garage spaces. The existing rents were approximately 20% below market, and the property sold for $350,000 per unit and $327 per square foot. The current price per square foot for Downey is $427. Looking at the Los Angeles County listing inventory, Los Angeles County had 97 new listings last week, and this is about a normal number of listings for LA County and is a good number of weekly new listings for this time of the year. The total number of active listings dropped further again last week to 1,448 total active listings. Last week was a good week for sales activity as there were 53 listings moving from active status to active under contract last week, and there were 44 pending listings last week. Looking at the monthly sales stats, the average days to sell is trending up over the last 2 months, and the number of active listings has dropped over the last 3 months. The number of new listings is now down to its lowest point since April of 2020, and the number of sales has been pretty consistent over the last 3 to 4 months. Okay, let's look at San Diego County. San Diego County had 13 closed sales last week, and this is about the normal number of weekly closed sales for San Diego County. There have been more weekly closed sales previously in the year, but over the last few months, the average number of weekly sales has been trending downward. The closed sales average days on market was just 22 days. There were 7 of last week's closed sales that were transactions that sold at or above asking price. Of the finance transactions last week, there were 3 transactions that used VA financing and 1 transaction that used FHA financing. And looking at the San Diego County listing inventory, they had 12 new listings last week, and this is a bit on the low side of the weekly average for this stat. The total number of active listings is down from 112 total listings in the previous week to 102 total listings last week. The months of inventory moved from 10 months previously to 14 months currently. And looking at the monthly charts, the days to sale average moved up last month after falling the previous 3 months. The number of active listings has fallen over the last 3 months, and the number of new listings has nosedived down to the lowest number of new listings since December of 2019. And the total number of sales also plummeted from 116 total monthly sales to 82 total monthly sales. And the average price per square foot has seen a steady increase over the last 5 months. All right, Riverside County had 13 closed sales last week, and this is higher than the usual number of weekly closed sales and may have been due to a backlog of sales from the prior shortened holiday week due to Thanksgiving. The closed sales average days on market was normal at 28 days. There were 7 of the 13 closed sales last week that were transactions that sold at or above asking price, and 5 of the 13 closed sales last week were all cash transactions. There were 2 of the 8 finance transactions last week that used FHA financing. The monthly absorption rate dropped from 2.17 months previously to 1.78 months currently. Looking at the Riverside County listing inventory, there were 6 new listings last week. The total number of active listings was unchanged from the prior week with 70 total active listings. Month of inventory was also unchanged at 4 months. And looking at the monthly charts, the number of active listings has fallen over the last 3 months and is nearly identical to the numbers last seen in December of 2019. The average price per square foot skyrocketed up to $514 per square foot last month. And the monthly number of sales remained fairly consistent with the previous months. Okay, San Bernardino County had 10 closed sales last week, and the closed sales average days on market was higher than normal at 50 days. Just 3 of the 10 closed sales last week were transactions that sold at or above asking price. This stat is usually about half or more of the total weekly closed sales. The monthly absorption rate went from 1.81 months previously to 1.95 months currently. The San Bernardino County listing inventory, there were 6 new listings last week. Not a bad week for new listings for this time of the year. The total number of active listings fell below 100 to 95 total active listings. This is the first time this year the total number of active listings has dropped below 100 total listings. The months of inventory moved up from 6 months to 8 months. And looking at the monthly charts, the days to sell average has been up and down, has seen an up and down trend over the last 7 months. The number of new listings has dropped over the last 2 months and is now down to just 44 new listings in November. The prevailing trend has been downward, and the number of sales dropped by about 25% to 46 total number of sales last month. All right, that wraps up this week's SoCal Multifamily Sales Pulse. You can look at all the charts, stats, and closed sales in detail in the full report on my website, MikeLembeck.com. If you're interested in seeing more stats or sale metrics, let me know and I'll see what I can do to add them. For this week's wrap-up, the market has remained pretty consistent with the last few weeks. We continue to show a drop in inventory levels, and I'm expecting this lower inventory level to continue for the next 2 to 3 months. Investor demand is still strong, and weekly closed sales are down slightly from the numbers seen earlier this year. I don't think these market conditions change much anytime soon either. Feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email with any questions on the market. If you're thinking of selling a property you currently own, I'd be happy to give you an evaluation on your property and an honest opinion on what is the best next step for your investments. And if you're having a hard time locating an upleg for your exchange, we have lots of access to inventory using the Delaware Statutory Trust as a way of satisfying your 1031 exchange requirements. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mike's Multifamily Minutes, so you never miss a video. See you next week.